welcome back to HR Talks with Leash. I hope you're all doing well. So in today's video, it's going to be a little bit different to my career conversations videos that I do, as Shanice is going to be joining me on the sofa today to talk about her career journey in HR. Now, she specialises in compensation and benefits, and we're going to go into her journey and where it all began, why she decided to specialise in compensation and benefits, how she manages her time at work, her self-care journey, and more. So please stay tuned for this video. It's going to be a good one, and let's get into today's video. Hi everyone, so I have Shanice with me today on the sofa for the Career Conversations with Leash episode, and we're going to go into Shanice's journey and just understand like her path and how she got to where she is today. So Shanice, can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, hi, I'm Shanice, and I currently work as a compensation benefit analyst in the life science industry.
Great. And so Shanice, tell us a little bit about like your path. So like how did you get into a compensation and benefits? Where did it all begin? Like, and what did you at uni as well?
So I studied at the University of Manchester and did sociology, and to be honest, I didn't really know what I wanted to do like whilst coming towards the end of third year, but I always knew HR would be something, if I was to kind of go into a role, it would be something that would suit me because of the soft skills. So it came to the end of third year and I was starting to do my exams. I was thinking, what am I doing in September? I had no plan, so I started to apply for all the typical kind of graduate jobs, like the business, the big four, and it wasn't really me, but I was doing it because that's what I thought everyone was meant to be doing. And then I was like, you know what, I like HR, it's something that I could see myself doing, and I wanted to apply for a lot of the programs, but most of them were gone. There was a few left, in like the May summer times, there was a few left, but it was still really hard to get those, and I ended up didn't getting them, so I had to go back to kind of applying and through like Indeed and LinkedIn to find jobs, and I was like, okay, I need to really narrow down what I wanted to get into, and again, HR was always the thing for me that I thought I'd be really good at. But to get into HR, back then, I'm not too sure what it's like now, you need experience, you need a qualification, and I didn't have any of that. I just did sociology at university. So it was applying for a lot of HR roles, and then I came across one job on LinkedIn, and the role was employee benefits administrator, and I was like, okay, it's got employee in there, so like with my degree was sociology, you can kind of make it relevant to anything that you do, and I was like, this job looks like something that I can kind of talk my way into getting into a HR role because it involves the employee. I wasn't sure kind of what the role really entailed, but I thought employee benefits administrator was a kind of a good foot to get into HR. So I ended up getting that job, and turns out it was more kind of employee benefits on an international scale, so working across EMEA, APAC, LATAM, which is something that I was new to, but it's more kind of brokerage consultancy for large corporations and client-based role. So from working in that role and having to work alongside HR managers, benefit admins, it's something that I wanted to kind of move into. So I no longer wanted to be kind of in that brokerage consultancy role. I wanted to kind of move into like the parallel role and work within HR, because that was always something that I wanted to do. So that's when I moved to my current role now, which is a part of a HR team, but the rewards team, and working on compensation and benefits, mainly benefits for EMEA.
Okay, so that sounds like a really good journey, and I'm glad that you said that, you know, you did sociology and like HR was something that you was interested in, wanting to get into, because a lot of people don't realise that they don't have to do a degree that's specifically related to HR in order to get into parts of HR. So like even for myself as well, like I did psychology, so and I was interested in HR myself, and I resonated with you when you said you was trying to apply for the grad jobs like after graduation, and there wasn't really anything was the same for me. And that's when I decided to go down the master's route, but
which I was gonna go down.
You was gonna go down.
I was in between.
So why did you decide not to go down the master's route?
Because that summer applying for jobs that were HR based, it was so difficult to get in without experience or qualification. And I think at the time, I've always been a worker, and I feel like you're either a worker or someone who's really academic. Even though I went to uni, I am academic, but I think experience speaks more volume, and I wanted to kind of channel that through. So I thought, let me try this role, and because I started at the end of summer, there was still time to join the masters the following January. So I thought, let me work for a few months and see if I actually like this, if it's something that could help me get into HR without having to do a masters, and it did. And I'm happy that I continued that way, because I don't think I would have been able to do full-time work and a masters.
Yeah.
And then that February, March, it was locked down. So I'm happy that I went through that route. But I think going from university, I wanted to start earning an income straight away. I didn't want to keep studying, because I think at the time, the power of education and degree was kind of like fading down. I think even now, you don't have to go to university to get into a role or have a master's. You can kind of work your way up, and I think sometimes, depending on the employer or the manager, they might prefer experience over qualification. So I think it was just seeing, and it works for me. It's not a route that everyone needs to take, but it's something that I did, and I'm happy that I did it because it worked out for me.
No, that's really good to hear. And I just want to go into, so like, I know you said you got this job and you found this job on LinkedIn, but at that point you didn't have any HR experience at that point, is that right?
Yeah.
So when you actually kind of like went for the interview, and like you was talking about like why you were a suitable fit for the job, how did that go? Because I think sometimes people are like, they don't really know how they're going to get a job in HR because they've got no experience.
Yeah.
So how did that go for you, and how did you manage to get that?
So before going into kind of that role, I had worked in an office before in Manchester for about 2.5 years.
Right.
So I had experience of working in an office, and all the things I was doing is kind of similar to what you do in an office, work in an office. So that kind of resonated really well with the HR manager at the time, but also just how I was as a person. I think she kind of picked up on, I'm someone that has a good work ethic, and I think it's mainly just based on how I presented myself through the interview, and they just had to take a risk. And at the time, I was classed as a trainee because I was the first one out of university. And going back now, they always say that we're happy we took the risk with you, because you didn't know the industry, you was just fresh out of uni, and you picked up really well. So I think, one, having the experience in an office, so for like any uni students, yes, it's good to kind of have like retail, but if you can get yourself, even if it's part-time, because my work was part-time, in an office, answering calls, doing emails, it's getting you ready for a typical 9 to 5. So you've kind of got that in the background to kind of speak about that. But HR wise, there was nothing there apart from I had the office skills and experience and how I presented myself in the interview.
I love that you said that, because I really think it is about how you present yourself. That's one of the main things, because even for myself, I had no HR experience at all, but mainly just like volunteering experiences. So I basically was at a recruitment agency for only a week because the pandemic happened. So I didn't get to finish that one off. But I did a couple of volunteering like placements around learning and development and stuff. But that wasn't really, there wasn't a lot of experience there. I mainly spoke about like my work in Five Guys, and how like that was transferable to HR. So a lot of people, I know, you're kind of like, how did you do that?
This is good.
This is why I really try and tell my audience and like anyone watching, like, I don't think it matters what you do.
Yeah.
It's how you tailor your experience to the job description of the job you're going for, and also the passion you bring to it. That's going to get you that role. Because I was actually talking about like flipping burgers and like coordinating with different people on my team, and how that links to teamwork and HR and stuff.
Yeah, I love that though, because even though you didn't have the experience, it's the manager who kind of took, not a chance, but like really understood that. And I think that takes a lot, is like giving people the opportunity to actually show themselves. They might not have experience, and it does come with risk, because when you hire someone, you don't want to be rehiring someone in the next 3 to 6 months because it didn't work out. But I think there's kind of, how can people get experience if we're not able to start somewhere? So yes,
it's basically definitely about taking risk, and like just having that passion, having that drive, and showing that you are capable. So yeah, I'm happy you said that.
Yeah.
So in terms of like your journey when starting the company that you started in, can you just remind me, are you currently in the same company that you started in, or did you moved?
I moved, so I was doing kind of the brokerage consultancy for about 2.5 years,
right?
And then I moved in-house, as they call it,
right?
Which I'm at now.
Right. So yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. So when you first started in your role, what was like your career development kind of like? How did you progress within your role, and like who were the people around you that supported you and helped you? How did you kind of progress?
Is this the first company or
the first company first? Then we'll move on to the next one.
Oh wow. So I think having like managers and people like seniors to me, they kind of I really got on with them, and they saw firsthand how I worked, and they tried to kind of help me develop by giving me bigger clients. And through the pandemic, that was hectic because no one knew what to do. I was like 6 months into the role, had one of the biggest clients that they had, and now everything was changing and they wanted answers, and I'm just like, we're in a pandemic and I don't really know this. But I think it's just having that support and them believing in you, but also working with you. So if there's something that I struggled with, it was them always helping me. But I think I had a lot of encouragement from the team, and also other staff members within my team. They kind of looked to me because the managers and the seniors thought that I was the one doing well. So it kind of made me feel like whatever I'm doing, even though I might doubt myself sometimes, that there's people that are vouching for me, but also people that look to me to kind of help them. So it's just a bit of like team effort. But I think the real growth came from me asking to do a professional qualification, which I ended up doing. It wasn't a CIPD, but it was a benefits qualification. And again, I was the first person in my team to ever do that, which again was quite a nice honour. Like they were like, if anyone can do it, you can do it. And that was really stressful, working full time, doing 2 exams through a lockdown. That was tough. But again, I had the support, had like time off. But it was really nice to be developed in that way. The role that I was in I wasn't promoted there, but I think the development came from working with the larger clients and also having the opportunity out of everyone to do the professional qualification.
So when you did the professional qualifications, would you say that really benefited you? Is that helping you like currently like progress in your career?
Yeah, I think there's elements that you definitely remember. It's a lot to take in, but I know that I have materials to keep looking back on. I wouldn't say that it helped me get to where I am now, but it allows me to have just a foundation and understanding. And again, if I really wanted to look into a particular benefit or a particular thing within HR or benefit, I can always refer back to it. So I think it's really good to learn because it was so fast paced. I did 2 exams in like 6 months. The learning was quite difficult. It was spread out across like a longer time. Then it maybe would have penetrated a lot more, but I think it's definitely something that I'm happy that I did because the experience is still there, and again the material was always there to look back on, and it allowed me to kind of move forward and understand benefits in a lot more deeper detail.
Okay, that's great. No, that's great, and I'm glad that it has benefited you and kind of aided you on your growth in your career in general. So I just want to let's go back a little bit into like compensation and benefits, because obviously compensation and benefits is like, it is a part of HR, and I would say one thing that people don't really realize is how vast HR is and how there's so many different elements and things that you can be involved in. So what's compensation and benefits, and like how what's it like working in compensation and benefits?
Okay, I think I'll break down kind of what compensation and benefits is, because when I speak to people, I'm like, oh yeah, I just work in HR, because it's a long thing to explain compensation benefits, because I didn't actually realise that compensation benefits was a part of HR until I was like working within it, which sounds so ridiculous. I thought that HR, you just do everything. There wasn't this department. And now working for like an international company, like I'm just used to having one HR person from like previous organisations, even like working in retail, working in an office in Manchester. So working in a company where there's like 30 plus HR people and there's different teams, it's like there's so much to do in HR.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But yeah, that's a compensation benefit. So compensation is made up of like different elements. So there's obviously salary, it can be your bonus or commission, it could be stock. That's kind of the main elements that make it compensation. And benefits is kind of your traditional like insurance benefits, so retirement plans, life benefits, disability benefits, medical. And then you've got like your kind of fringe benefits, so meal vouchers, wellness apps, all the kind of fun stuff. And then other things could go into like benefits like leave types. So if you've got like, you know, extra leave time for parental absence, so many other things. And each company can tailor their benefits package to them. But those are kind of like how compensation and benefits are split into two and what goes into each element of it.
And do you also work with, so you know, when it comes to people's like salary packages and stuff, do you have to like, this is just from like my knowledge and what I know about it a little bit because I'm not an expert. Do you have to like kind of go to market and kind of see how salaries are in different organisations similar to yours and then benchmark and stuff like that as well?
That's how it typically works.
Right, okay.
I'm not the compensation expert. Again, I do more benefits, but that's how it typically works. Yeah.
I get it. Okay, cool. So let's go now to like the next phase of like your kind of career, because you said you was in the company that you first started out in for a couple of years, I think you said. Yeah. And then you didn't get promoted there, so you moved to another organisation. So let's talk about that company right now. Like, what's your growth been like there? Did you get like the similar support, or did you get more support from that opportunity? Like, how was that like for you?
So for me, moving here was the best thing I could do. Again, it's at my previous role, there was opportunities to develop and be promoted, but I really had to like come back to myself and realize what I wanted, because again, it was my first job out of uni, and when you have your first job, they can, not that they do on purpose, but you can easily be molded into a career that you didn't necessarily want. So I had to make a jump to be like, okay, I like benefits, I like the company, I like the people, but this role is not what I really wanted to do. Right. I need to kind of make that switch to not like promote myself, but to go on a different path. So that was the first thing. So there were opportunities for me to be promoted, and I was on that track, but I just knew that it's not something that I wanted to do. So moving over here to a different company in a role that I kind of wanted to progress my career into, there was a lot of support. A lot of support, and there's a lot of room for growth. It's only been like over a year in this role, so I think there's still a lot of development to be made, but I think again, there is room for that. The biggest thing for me that has helped me with this role is that the roles are different, and I'm learning things and working on things that I've never done before. So I'm used to like the traditional insurances, but the other fringe benefits like meal vouchers and setting those up, those are benefits that you have to do internally, and working with different departments, so like payroll, legal, procurement. In my consulting role, it's not something that you have to deal with because you're not inside the company. You just kind of help them build a package externally that's attractive, whereas internally you've got to go by kind of the pillars of the company and what they want to achieve. And again, working with these different departments like payroll, which is like a major key part of like working together. So even though again I've not been promoted yet, I think it's learning in-house and being actually in the HR function, which I wasn't really a part of beforehand.
And so would you say you prefer working in like a HR function to doing the consulting kind of work, or?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. The customer is different. So my customer before was the clients, now the customers now the employees. So even though, you know, it gets really busy and you still have like periods where it's just like you still have to answer to someone, I prefer kind of speaking to the employees and listening to what they want. Because again, the whole point of the benefits team is to attract and also retain the talent as well, as best as you can, because again, working across different regions. So again, I work within EMEA. There's so many different countries and so many people that have so many recommendations and things that they want to see in a company, but it's just like there's only one of me and a very small team. But I do prefer working in-house, and I know a lot of friends that have worked in consulting and moved to in-house and I've gone back to consulting because they just prefer that. So I think they're both really good kind of careers, but it depends on what side of the table you want to sit at, and I prefer to be.
Yeah, because I mean, right now I'm like in-house as well, so I work with all of the different kind of departments within my company and also support the employees of my customer. But I would like to try out the like consulting side of things. Like I actually really want to like try that out and see what that's like.
I'm happy that I've got that out of me and to see what it's like.
And
it's
at least
very
you got that experience as well.
Yeah.
So like that's a good thing as well, because I know with consulting then you get certain skills when you're kind of you're doing consulting. So yeah, no, that sounds.
It's funny that you say that as well, because even though I don't do like consulting or brokerage anymore, I still think like them. So I work with kind of consultants and brokerage.
Right.
So when they don't use them, I'm like, if I was in my other role, I couldn't do this. So I still kind of sometimes have that hat on because I was in it for so long. So I know what to expect. I know, what insurers are like and what the market is like. I know a lot about renewals because I used to do it. So sometimes it's like having to like sit back and be like, it's not my job anymore. I'm not part of that. But it's like I know
what it's like. I think that's good though, because I think it's good to have like a consulting kind of mindset, especially like when you're working in-house as well, like when it comes to wanting to do like new initiatives and like developing and being innovative with different parts of your role. I think having a consulting mind is good. So it's good that you've got that. I'm trying to develop my own, to be honest. But so I just want to go into the industry you work in, because you work in like biotech, I believe. So because I don't think a lot of people understand like how HR is basically everywhere in like every industry, and like you can work in different types of like environments, and based on that is based on how sometimes you have to adapt the way that you work. So what's it like working in like a biotech kind of company?
I started when like COVID had like the end of COVID, and I think when COVID was a thing, I think a lot of biotech pharmaceutical companies were at their peak because the demand was so high. But it's sometimes within HR you're removed from the actual
I get that,
base of the company, but it's really nice just to see how passionate people are in the different departments that are outside of HR, and just like the impact that they have, and how well they do. It's not something that I've like all the medical information and things that they do, I've not directly had any involvement with all my friends and family, but there are cases where a lot of people have benefited so much from kind of what they do. So it's really nice to be a part of that and work within a company that works to kind of improve human health. Sometimes, like again, when we work in HR, you can be a part of any industry or company, but when you sit back and think, like, do you know what, this is like cool, that the things that they have, go into like the office and there's scientists, and it's just like there's so much more outside. But I think it's definitely really nice to be a part of something so special. And again, the mission is there, and it aligns with me, and improving human health, it will affect us in the future, and I think they do a really good job. So it's just nice to be a part of a company that does well, and does well for a lot of people on a global scale.
I love that. I love that you said that, because my company because we work with like about 13 different industries, and one of the industries is kind of like the healthcare as well, and like making virtual like twin experiences of like human hearts, and like how can doctors kind of use that to model and test certain things to help humans like in future. So I think it's good to know that like we work for companies that they do have like a bigger vision and a mission to kind of help everyone, like. So I'm glad that you kind of mentioned that, because I do think our industries that we work in are quite similar in a lot of ways. So I want to actually ask you as well another question about just moving from your consultant role to working in-house in HR. Like, what was like the process in terms of moving from one job to another. And what I'm trying to say here is like, because I know a lot of people have even asked me questions around how do I prepare for moving into my next HR role, and like what's the steps I need to kind of take to ensure that I can be successful in the new role that I move into. So have you got any like tips or advice around that?
I'd say it's just knowing exactly what is expected of you.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's something that comes with getting a new role. But then just having conversations like with your new manager and seeing things that you already know about, the things that you don't know about, and how you can work together to kind of have that development.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a lot easier than people think, but it's okay to take that leap of faith as long as you're honest with yourself, and obviously with your team and your manager about the things that you're not so comfortable with. So for example, tax. Tax for me is just scary, and from working in like a consulting environment, that's something that I could be like, okay, that's got nothing to do with me. Whereas now, even though I'm not a tax specialist and I never will be, I have to have some sort of understanding on how, you know, we can make benefits more tax efficient for employees, and how it could be beneficial for the company. So you're going to be uncomfortable, especially when you're moving roles and within HR, but that's okay. As long as you're really honest and you take time for yourself, but also make those around you know that, okay, this is not my strongest point, but I'm going to try. And if I need help, like, just know that the help is there and support is there. So yeah, just trusting yourself, and it's okay if things are difficult, you will get there, and you're not going to enjoy every project or every task in any role, to be honest. So
yeah, no, I like that advice, definitely. I think speaking to people, number one, like, you need to, if you've got any concerns or you need help with anything, like, it's good to like voice your opinion and just voice your concerns, so that obviously like you can then people know what your strengths and your weaknesses are, as you said, and like you can work on that. So I think that's definitely important. And I also think like moving into a new role, because recently I moved into a new role as well, like, you know, you are not going to know everything. So I think one thing also is be I would say confident with yourself when you're moving into a new role. Like, it's okay if you don't know everything, you'll get to know, like, that's kind of the beauty of it, because over time you'll see how far you've come. Because I remember like when I first started, just even going back to an intern, I knew nothing at all about like any of the processes or the systems, and just even liaising with so many people. Like with me, I had to talk to like the benefit providers for the renewals and stuff, and I had to do like certain tasks for payroll and help with that, and a variety of things. And now it's kind of second nature to me, but at first it wasn't. So I think give yourself grace as well, and like when if you don't know everything, that's okay. It's okay. Like,
yeah, that's something that I've had to learn.
Yeah.
Like, previously I always think, if I don't know something, then I'm just not going to my job, and again, that's
how I felt as well. Like,
But I think also it comes down to your environment as well, and hopefully like having a supportive manager, which I do have, which I'm very, very grateful for. And you know, people might do things in your team, your new team, or processes might go a certain way, but if there's room for you to do that same process in your own way, that's fine as well. So if you've got to do like a presentation and you want to do it in a different format, or you're going to do something a different way, I think if you've got encouragement to do things and keep things how you learn how to do it, that's also a good thing as well. Appreciate it might not be possible for everyone, but for example, when I organise, you know, benefit information, it's the same way that I used to do from consulting. And a lot of people might be like, that is so like confusing for me, like how do you even know it? And it's okay, like they're happy with my way and I'm fine with their way, but we don't have to change our ways as long as we know how to get it and people know how to get it. That's fine. So if you're used to doing or organising your work life or your project in a certain way, and it's okay for you to do that in your new role, then keep things the same as much as possible, and make it comfortable for you as well.
Okay, so you know what, that actually goes into my next question, a bit around time management.
Oh God.
So
yeah,
like how would you say you manage your time? Because even for me, and I've said it to everyone before, like sometimes I find it hard to manage like everything that I'm doing, because there's just a lot of things that are happening. So like with you, do you have a certain like way of managing your time, or like
I get this question I asked a lot with my manager. He's like, how do you do so much stuff? And I was like,
Yeah.
because I wasn't broken.
Yeah,
We work with so many different countries. So like in EMEA, for my role, there's probably around at least 20 countries going like that I look after and manage for benefits, and there's always something going on in multiple countries. And for me, it's difficult to communicate how I do it. It's just all in my brain. Like I'll be like working, but like something's happened in Sweden, and he's not got back to me, and I don't know how to explain it. But I think in terms of work wise, 9 to 5, 9 to 10 o'clock is emails for me.
Right. Okay.
And then 12 to 1 is again emails, and then 4 to 5 emails again. So I try and space out that way. Sometimes it's difficult because I have like my emails open. I'm trying to like close it so that I don't get distracted. And I think I have periods like Mondays for me, I try to keep it no meetings. Monday to focus on projects, Wednesdays afternoon, and also Fridays where possible. Sometimes you can't get rid of calls, but I think for me, Monday, Wednesday afternoons and Fridays is where I go really hard with projects. And then morning times is like inboxing. And then when it comes to the different countries, I always set myself different reminders in my calendar to say, okay, you need to complete this project, you need to chase this person. And I always have a to-do list as well. Don't really sit by that all the time, but I think I just know the things that I'm working on. And I have like a weekly catch up with my manager, and I always have like things that I'm working on, and it kind of reminds me, and I do that in advance. So then I'm like, okay, crap, I haven't got back to this broker in Spain. I need to do this now. So it's a lot of everything. And I don't have like an actual answer. It just works in my brain. And I'm just used to like just being on point. I'm not always, but for most of the part, I just get things done. I'm very like, I do things straight away.
That's good.
In my last role, I did a lot of emailing myself. So like, I'd finish work and think about something real. Oh God, I don't want to think about it. So I'd email myself things I need to do tomorrow. It's over the place. It's all over the place. But
no, it sounds good though. I'm getting some tips from it myself.
I try to just be like as organised as possible. At the moment, I'm working on a project, and there's so much calls to be had. I'm like, okay. Someone's like, can we have a call on Monday? And I'm just like, because again, I try to have it no meetings. I'm like, there's so many other times next week that I can do it. I want to just make sure that I'm very disciplined, because if I'm having calls on days that I should really be working on the projects, then I'm not ever going to
I get it.
progress. And again, having an environment where you can do that is really powerful and helpful, because then I can make sure that I'm balancing things right, because I'll just be stuck on calls when I should really be getting into
doing the work, and getting into it, No, those are some great tips.
I hope so.
No, definitely. I'm even taking notes in my head, like, oh, email myself. That's a good one, because I don't really do that.
Yeah, sometimes like you finish work, I'm thinking, oh, I forgot to do this, or this is something that I could ask for tomorrow, and I just like send myself my personal to my work email. Remember to text this person or do this.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. To be fair. I like that. So I think I have a couple more questions, and then we can round it up. I'm gonna check my list of questions that I had. I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything out, because Shanice, this has been a great conversation. Like, I feel like everyone's gonna really like this one, definitely. So, what is next for you in your career?
Wow, that's a big.
It's a big one, yeah.
For me, I think it's more developing, working on projects that I've not worked on before, and seeing where my role can take me as well, and looking to the future. But I think it's just more developing, and getting more projects under my belt. Working in HR, it's all about the projects, really, and the more that you've done, the easier it will be in the future. But I think it's just keep developing, keeping my relationships really strong with different departments, because that's really key. I have really 100%. Good relationships with kind of internally anyway. You know, you help them, they help you, and it makes things a lot easier. So I think it's still developing. There's always so much to learn, and then just seeing where I can go from there, really. Big question.
Yeah, it is a big one, to be fair.
But yeah, just hopefully more progressing.
Yeah.
I feel like I pick things up quite quickly. So
do you see yourself in compensation and benefits, like, in the future? Or,
oh yeah, definitely.
like,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think I found my niche, and I think
Yeah.
compensation benefits is a niche within HR.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think there's so much opportunities in the future. I think it's something that companies like really look into. Again, there's a lot of the great resignation that happened, but there's also a lot of layoffs. So there's a lot of focus on attracting people, but also retaining them, and having that skills and knowing exactly things that you can implement is really helpful. So I think it's a really good part of HR. I'm really biased, but I think it's probably one of the best parts of HR.
Yeah.
Because it's so interesting. Things are never the same. There's legislation that always gets in the way, and the company might dictate something that you have to then change and make sure that your benefit policies are compliant. There's working with different people from different cultures, different ways of working. So yeah, it's really good, especially on an international scope. There's different countries, and I love geography, I love traveling, so it's nice to have that in my daily life. So yeah.
Cool. And another question, I just want to go into self-care a little bit. So like, I love self-care. I'm trying to go into self-care because like, I want to show people that like, yes, we've got our careers, we're in them HR, but it's like, what else what are you doing to like, wind down, relax? Like, what do you just like to do? Like, do you do anything on like the weekdays at all, like after work?
Not currently. TikTok is like a ritual.
Yeah.
But I like to just keep my health going, working like in like a health company. That's very big. So making sure that I get enough hours of sleep. There's like one of our benefits is like an app that I just love. So I think I'm just trying to, because I work remotely, is trying to keep as active as I can be. It's difficult sometimes, especially when the weather's not good, but I think definitely trying to get into Pilates more.
I've been hearing about these things.
Gym more, but also just taking the time, going for a walk. Again, having that flexibility around work. Self-care for me is like skincare and just products and all that stuff. So don't have a set thing that I do after work, but I love self-care, and it comes in different forms. It could be just scrolling on TikTok, it could be going to the gym, it could be going to eat. So
yeah, no, that's good. I'm glad you said that. It's different forms, because for me, I'm actually trying to learn how to roller skate. So like,
oh my god, I need to learn how to. I'm so bad at roller skating. I'm the worst.
That was me literally, but to be fair, I'm getting better now. And I was going on like Thursdays, like after work, I'd just go roller skating.
Yeah.
Because it just, for me, I'm trying to like break up my like just working all the time. Because for me, I work and then I'm like doing stuff for YouTube as well and stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I need to break it off. Yeah. I need a hobby. So I need a hobby. Yeah. So I was like, oh, let me start like skating or something.
Yeah.
Like, so
I want to start dancing. I did start last year. But like, I do need like a solid hobby. I don't have that. I just do a bit of everything.
No, that's good though, because that's like me. I mean, I don't skate all the time, but I'm trying to make it like a thing. Yeah. Because I'm like, it would just be nice, like, after work, I know I'm going skating today, so.
Books are another one, to be honest. I have like so much books.
Oh yeah, books.
And I've not ever completed a book.
I haven't completed.
I've got so much interest in books. Like my thing last year was buying books, but like because I wanted to read them, and I do want to read them. I just don't. It's really bad, but I would love to start because I feel like you have to get into it, fall in love with it, and then it becomes like addictive.
You have to get into it. Because like,
it's difficult.
Even with me, like, I love to read. When I was young, I was reading like a lot. I feel like that's because of my mum though. Like, she kept telling me to read all the time. But like, when I got older, I just kind of stopped reading. And like, I've got books as well. As you can see, there's books there. Yeah. I've got books in these shelves and like.
I've got a mini library.
Like, I've got.
It's bad, and I just don't read any of them.
I'm trying to read. To be fair, I think it's good to read when you're like on the train or something, or like. Because I finished a book on my journey from London to Birmingham. Like, I finished it.
A whole book?
Not a whole. So I read. Basically, I already read like, let's say, a third of it. Okay, so then I got on the train going to my destination, and I read like about maybe 100 pages or something.
That's good.
And then coming back, I finished the over 100 pages. So I was able to finish the book.
You see, that is good, but I think for me, there's like motion.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if I was in a car or on a train, because I'm moving, reading, I don't know, I feel like I'm going to be sick.
Oh, really?
Maybe I'm just making that up, but I just know that I have to be like in a steady position.
No,
if I'm like moving, it's just...
I get what you're saying for the train, because if that's me, if I'm sitting backwards. If I'm sitting backwards, I couldn't do it. When I'm sitting forwards, it's not too bad. And also, you got to find a quiet place, because sometimes people are too loud. I can't concentrate. So I get lucky. That time I got lucky, to be fair. But no, I get what you mean with reading. I think getting into it is great. Yeah.
Even like when I go on holidays, I'll take a book, and it's like I'll be sitting on the beach reading a book, but then it's too hot.
Yeah, you know what? I tried that one time and it didn't work.
No, it didn't work. But
I did try
that. I have so much interest in books that I just want to finish and want to start actually. And it's just like discipline. To do it, and I will do it.
You know what I've realised? Like, if you just sit down and like you say, I'm gonna read for 5 minutes, like you'll read for Because I said to myself, like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna get back into this. I'm gonna sit here and read 5 minutes. I was there for half an hour, and I was like, oh, and the book was interesting, so I was like, you know. So I guess you could get into that. So So I've got one more question for you now. One more. I'm rounding it up. Actually, I've got two more questions for you. I've got two more. Cool. Right. So, what would you say is one word to describe working in HR?
It's a hard one.
It's a hard one to be, and I'm like, what? That was a difficult question.
Collaboration.
You know what? That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Because you're always speaking to someone.
Yeah.
Like, you are, like, there's no quiet days. I'd have, like, no meetings. And someone would be like, Shanice, can you? That you're always speaking to someone, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Whether that's, like, employees, like, managers, payroll. There's always, someone always wants you. You always want it. And there's always collaborating and speaking to someone. Or it could be like externals, like your vendors, brokerage, consultants. So collaboration, you have to always be working with someone.
Collaboration, I like that.
So yeah, I'd say that.
I like that one, because I'm screaming that like all the time on this channel. Like, you need to collaborate, you need to build relationships. So that's a good one.
And I feel like as like a tip, like the best thing you can have is like good relationships. I think I've said it before. So like just being able to collaborate and like working with people is that's how you're gonna get through it. And that's why I went into HR, because I think I'm a good person to kind of speak to, and I'm quite understanding. So no, I like that. And you kind of went into my next question already. Any advice for our viewers who are interested in getting into HR and trying to progress to the next level? I would say definitely know what department you want to go into, whether that's TAC, which is talent acquisition, just your generalist, like people care and support, HRBP, which is Alicia, or compensation benefits, like me, and then kind of edging your way into that and focusing on learning the craft and getting to the next stage, really, because there's different skills that's required and different elements that's required. So trying to find a role, if you've got no experience, that can help you get to where you want to go to, but also understand that there's a massive beauty with working with HR, because you can go into different companies, different industries, which are all different, which is really good. Like, it's very transferable. So my advice would be just to start, and it's okay. You'll probably get a lot of rejections, because I did. It might be a lot easier for you, but that's okay. You'll definitely find the job that is meant for you, and everything will work out. And just keep trying things until you find what is actually the best for you. But definitely just keep going through it, and it's a good career path. Love that from you, Shanice. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you everyone for watching. If you've got any questions for me or Shanice, then please drop them down below. Or Shanice, how can people find you? LinkedIn, best one. So I'll put Shanice's LinkedIn profile down below, so if you've got any questions, then you can ask her there. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.